Hello and welcome. This is Jim Forsythe, Chair of Citizens for Sound Money. Brief introduction. We're going to be talking to Andrew Carey of GoldATM. Before we get started, I just want to say this is not a sponsored video. We're not receiving funding for this. This is not investment advice. It's just educational. So anyway, welcome, Andrew Carey.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Before we dive into specifics, I wanted to ask you what we ask everybody that we have on, which is, why is sound money important?
Well, it would almost be obvious to I guess people in our space, but really it's about having choice. For me, it's about having money tied to time itself. I think that if there's not a check and balance on the supply of money, you get into weird situations. You get into, I think, perverse incentives, and inevitably corruption at almost every level. So sound money is important to have the proper checks and balances, which create ultimately a better society, a society which thinks long term. If you don't have sound money, you end up like Venezuela. You end up like a third world country, where people can't think beyond what they gotta eat today.
Love that answer. Tied to time is an interesting way of putting it. Another way I think of saying the same thing is it should be a store of value, right? But that is exactly right. That being tied to time, if you work and put your money into dollars and then the dollar's value erodes, your time has been stolen, your labor has been stolen. So like that answer. Why don't you tell us a little bit of your background and how you came to be doing what you're doing with GoldATM?
Absolutely. So I've been an early pioneer of the, believe it or not, the Bitcoin ATM space. Our company, Genesis Coin, which is BitcoinATM.com. We're rebranding it now. But Genesis Coin was basically the first software platform to provide a scalable solution for other Bitcoin ATM operators to provide Bitcoin for cash. In the early days of Bitcoin, I want to say 2012, 2013, if you went to the early trade shows, you would see these kind of proof of concept boxes, like almost like a sheet metal kind of encasement. And, you could put cash into the box and it would scan your QR code and it would send Bitcoin to your phone. And this was the early days when it was difficult to get a Bitcoin exchange account. And we solved the fundamental problem, which was, how do I buy my first Bitcoin and make it as easy as possible? When I bought my first Bitcoin, I couldn't get a Coinbase exchange account. It was just so early. Coinbase had just started and they just didn't really have either the liquidity or couldn't approve my application fast enough. So I had to go buy Bitcoin for cash. And I was resorted to peer-to-peer marketplaces like Local Bitcoins and a few others like Mycelium, where you would have to meet up a stranger with cash and you would have to exchange the cash for Bitcoins. You'd go to like a Starbucks or like a bank. It was almost like a very risky, shady experience. However, generally, the majority of the time, it was very pleasant. You would talk about Bitcoin and sound money and freedom and all those kind of things you like to do with like-minded individuals. But at the same time, how is my mom going to buy Bitcoin like this? How is my father going to buy Bitcoin like this? That was never going to happen. And I think that the market manifested a Bitcoin ATM solution. And our goal was to not build the hardware, but to provide great software and pair up and partner with the best traditional ATM hardware manufacturers in the world for an actual scalable solution that the market would really come to appreciate. And I think that was our magical recipe. And that's kind of how we got started. And today we power over roughly 14,000 Bitcoin ATMs worldwide, between the Genesis Coin and Bitstop Bitcoin ATM platforms. All around the world, roughly, I want to say 11 countries. We even power all the El Salvador Bitcoin ATM stuff that you hear about going on down there with El Chivo. They're on our platform. And so, our pedigree is Bitcoin ATMs, and we have about 10, 11 years of software development experience with respect to that, and making a lot of mistakes and learning a lot throughout that journey on distribution. What makes a great operator? What's a great location? Why do people buy? cash for Bitcoin was like, we become experts in that. And then, if you want to get into our Gold ATM kind of journey, which is kind of what led us to talk on Twitter, Jim, and communicate recently, which was, I think, we talked offline. I said, hey, I want to say that I was neutral about gold. I bought gold bars in the past. To me, you would buy them from somewhere like JM Bullion or APMEX, and if the price went up, you would end up selling them pretty much back to where you bought them from, maybe locally, if you have a source. And I didn't hate gold. I was neutral on it and didn't really I was more crazy about Bitcoin. But then I encountered a product about a year ago, which kind of just blew my mind. It was kind of one of those things where it hit my mind and like I just couldn't stop thinking about it, like Bitcoin, which was Goldbacks. A friend of mine gave one to me, and at the time I didn't know it was just like a one Goldback, like a 1/1000th of a troy ounce. Yeah. And at the time I didn't realize that there were denominations. I go, oh, cool, this is Mormon money, is like really my first thought. But I did think it was cool. I thought it was more novelty until I discovered a few months later, I just put it in my pocket and I was like, okay, I'll come back to this. I went on the website and I saw that there were multiple denominations and that they were interchangeable. And then I started reading the story on goldback.com about specie legal tender. And I'm starting to see this movement of states adopting specie legal tender acts. And I was just like, I started going down this rabbit hole and, inevitably, because of the space I'm in, I'm like, could we one day, could I get Goldbacks to dispense from from one of our ATMs? Like, let's give it a shot. So we started working on that, and within a few weeks, we pumped out a little bit of a concept, and then I called up Goldback and in Valorum, and I said, guys, I don't know if you guys have thought about a Gold ATM, and they're like, we've been talking about Gold ATMs forever. Where you been? And I go, well, look, I'm, if anybody can make it happen, it's me, and they're like, I think they kind of probably were like, all right, yeah, let's see what you can do. Probably didn't really think much of it. I think they had some other encounters with people in the past, but I mean, within weeks, I just kind of like threw some videos at them and they were like, holy cow, like you like did it. And so we spent a few months getting the hardware tweaked and some software modifications going. And we launched essentially the first 5 Gold ATMs in Utah, and back on, I want to say December 4th, officially 2023. So here we are today. If you could go to the locations, you can kind of see them there. But we picked Utah because it's kind of like ground zero, I think, for Goldbacks.
Yep.
And the next market we plan to install, we're about to launch, I think, close to 7, I think, in Nevada in a few weeks, which we're excited about. And then, we're going to publicly kind of like, I want to say, do a real proper PR campaign unveiling, mid-February, when we demo the unit at ATMIA, which is like the largest traditional ATM conference. So I'll leave it at that, Jim. That's kind of the background and our foray into Gold ATMs. Well, I think I overloaded you with a lot of information right there. Possibly.
Yeah, and I had something I wanted to ask you, and then you kept saying so many exciting things that I kind of lost my train of thought. But
well, I will tell you, Jim, like overall, when we put Gold ATMs down for the first time in 2013, 2014, I believe, it was like very little marketing and an organic market that was just like kind of emerging. It was kind of like, hey, do you have a Bitcoin ATM? And, I was managing the customer service, and okay, yeah, you would see one person show up, and then the next day they'd come back with a friend. They'd take pictures of it, put it on social media. You saw this kind of this just growing demand for it, an organic market. And I will say, just by putting 5 down in Utah, we're very encouraged by the activity that we're seeing thus far. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I remember now. You were talking about Utah. So Citizens for Sound Money, and you mentioned legal tender species bills. Yeah, so C4SM is definitely heavily involved in that. Larry Hilton, who is with Goldbacks and Alpine Gold and UPMA, he's working with us. He's a lawyer with decades of experience on legal tender specie. And so he's helping us write bills. We've got New Hampshire, Florida, South Carolina, and he's doing something in Utah that we're helping him with. So, yeah, the ATM idea fits in really well with that legislation, because the way we crafted it is we declare gold and silver as legal tender. We allow the Treasury departments of the state or CFO in Florida to add different types of specie that would be legal tender. We fully anticipate, Goldbacks would be one of those, especially in states that have their own Goldbacks. So that was the first part of the bill. But then we also set up a depository and allow the gold holdings in the depository or silver to be transferable digitally. So an asset currency. And we also declare that as legal tender as well. But the way we crafted it, we're very careful that that first portion, just declaring it as legal tender, is the cash component. And we made sure that the depository could accept deposits in gold, not in dollar. I mean, it can do dollars and then you buy the gold, but that it accept deposits in gold and does redemption in gold. Because what we want it to be is, you've got your bank account, you can use it digitally for convenience, but if you want to withdraw and make a private transaction, you have the cash component. Can you talk about, why about that cash component and why you're so excited about that and why it's important?
So yeah, cash, a physical component of money is never going to go away. It's like the business card. It allows it fits within the framework of the average person. Most people watching this might be sophisticated enough to handle digital, but the average person needs to feel and touch something. And I think that's the allure and luster of gold as it is. That you can touch it, you can hold it. And it's taken 2,000 years for gold to or thousands of years for gold to go full circle from, nuggets, rocks, whatever, into coins, into, kind of bars, into, okay, hey, give a bank the gold, and I'm going to give you like a piece of paper that's you can trade. And then they remove the paper and from the gold. And now we're coming back to, okay, we're just going to go ahead and make gold as cash, which is what the Goldback is. And to me, it's such like a simple idea in a way, but at the same time, it's like a game-changing product. Like this is not just like better like gold. This is like exponentially like 10x better gold.
Yeah.
And the market says that, like, the market is putting 100% premium or more on Goldbacks because of the added utility aspect of Goldbacks. And whether or not if you're a gold bug or somebody that doesn't want to recognize that or put some respect on that premium, you may be like, oh, that's too expensive, or you're just overcharging. I've seen those complaints online, but you can hate the market, but the market's not wrong, at the end of the day.
Well, and I tell people, because a lot of people do talk about the high premium, but what they've done is they've added a lot of utility. I mean, you cannot counterfeit these things. They're harder to counterfeit than a dollar.
It is the world's hardest to counterfeit gold product. And if my opinion, I'd go so as far as to say, people don't have to agree with me, but it's a leading indicator on the true price of gold, in my opinion, and where it should be, which is 4,000 an ounce or more.
I would say it's a indicator of the premium for gold in form that can be used as money.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the coinage premium is real. And at the end of the day, all that was missing for this product, in my opinion, and this is what I told Goldback Valorum, is the proper distribution method. And ATM solves that. It's done, to give you an example, the Bitcoin ATM space went from $0 in 2013 to that's a $5 to $6 billion a year market right now, for cash only. Like, that is a cash only market. And it's still early days in Bitcoin, roughly speaking. So what I anticipate is that, you know, cash for gold and fractionalized gold is going to probably do the same thing, maybe in half the time, if properly done correctly.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that. We're invested in a number of these kind of sound money companies because we see a huge spike up coming in the upcoming years. So, oh, and back on the premium, you know, the people that do make a big deal out of premium, what I always tell them is the important thing is not the premium, it's the bit buy sell spread. And you know, because you take like a silver ounce and buy it 2 days later, try to sell it back, silver price hasn't changed, you may pay $4 an ounce more, or get $4 an ounce less than you paid for it.
Sure.
So it's the spread that matters, and UPMA has done a great job of collapsing those spreads down to zero. I mean, they can't guarantee it, but in practice, that the spreads have been zero for a long time with those guys, because the supply, they can't make these things fast enough. So,
correct.
Yep. So, tell us about the technology of these ATMs. You're saying you guys focus on the software side of it. What are the capabilities currently, and kind of what capabilities you're looking for in the future?
So we kind of went, I want to say, almost as full Monty as we could go. So, you know, that's like a 4-denomination dispensing Goldback ATM that takes cash and exchanges it for Goldbacks. Ones, fives, 10s, and 25s. Although the ones we've deployed only do 3 denominations: ones, fives, and 10s. The 25s do dispense, although we wanted to keep things roughly, you know, relatively simple. There you go. I mean, just
New Hampshire one.
We'll take a moment and just enjoy those.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, those. I mean, just a beautiful product. It really is.
Yeah, here's the 25. They are really beautiful, and you got to see them in person. Although video helps because you see the shine. If you see it on a website, it looks, you know, but you see it in person, and it's really beautiful.
You know, I've been in Bitcoin a long time, Jim, and you know, friends, family have been watching, you know, our company grow, and they're very happy for us and so forth. But you know, maybe 2 out of 10 of my family members understand Bitcoin ATMs. Like, I've been giving out Goldbacks like the last 8 months, and it's like a 10 out of 10 kind of, you know, eureka moment. There's no skepticism about gold, which is refreshing for somebody like me who comes from Bitcoin, is usually on the defensive, having to try to explain how it works. So it's just like immediate acceptance that it's gold, but more importantly, it's also just really great to see the reaction about the form of gold, because it's immediate. Like, how do I get this? And, you know, explain to me like how this was done, and it's really magical of a product. So I've come to really greatly appreciate what Goldback's done and what Valorum has done as well, to bring this to the market. So I'm just very happy that I could come along for the ride and kind of build on the shoulders of giants, the distribution side of this amazing product. So back to the technology side though. Right now, the ATMs are cash to Goldback. We have 3 denominations. We have 5 ATMs in the marketplace in Utah right now. We plan on installing roughly another 7 in Nevada is our next market we're going to put them down at. And we are looking at, you know, expanding to maybe 5 more markets outside of Nevada. We're looking at Texas. I want to try a couple states that have no Goldback, you know, currently out, and maybe not really infrastructure set up for the accepting side, to see how the market reacts. But you know, we're looking at Texas, we're looking at Florida, we're looking at California. We're also looking at some Midwest states as well. I won't give away the secret sauce of what that might be, but you know, we're very cautious and conservative. We aren't VC funded, we aren't angel invested, we don't take on debt. We use our own money to expand. So I want to say we don't get ahead of our skis. And we also try to expand conservatively and learn as much as we possibly can from the market. So, yeah, I want to say that, you know, we think that, excuse me, my son just woke up from a nap. Apologies if you guys hear that background.
Understood.
But really, it's simple: cash in, and it turns into Goldbacks. Now, the machines don't give any change. We have basically a rounding algorithm. So the spread right now, I want to say, or at least the exchange rate is roughly. We try to keep it right around the Goldback website. So we try to keep it on par with that, but depending on if it rounds up or down on the amount, sometimes you get like closer to $4, so you get a better rate. And sometimes maybe you get a little bit worse rate, like by a few cents, like 2 or 3 cents. Like, it's not a perfect algorithm. And like I said, think of like where we are right now as a minimum viable product. We can significantly improve and iterate on the exchange rate. And we hope to, in my opinion, try to get the price closer to, 5 to 10% less than the Goldback price. We want to get the cost as low as possible on these things, and try to turn this more into what it's, in my opinion, intended to be, which is money, rather than make this like a jewelry product or like a gold investment product that you have to wait to kind of like, for the appreciation of it to kind of catch up to what you paid for it. But at the end of the day, we are selling it for cash, which is an underserved market for Goldbacks that could command probably a very high premium. And we still try to compete with what people are buying them online for.
Yeah, the cash market, my understanding for gold and silver products in general is huge. There are a lot, as you can imagine, if you're a gold bug, you don't want your records, you don't want your credit card information. A lot of people want a lot of privacy. So the cash market is absolutely huge. Does it go both directions? Not that I would want to do that, but deposit Goldbacks to get cash, dollars back, which I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, but I was just curious.
Well, maybe not maybe early thinking would lead you to believe you might not want to do that. However, it depends, right? So there is like, it's a loaded question. The short answer is we are working on a two-way ATM. It will take time because the Goldbacks are not machine readable. And how you do that is a collaborative effort between the hardware manufacturers and Goldback and Valorum. There's multiple ways to go about how to read a Goldback and verify the authenticity of the Goldback when you put it into the machine. But that's probably 1-2 years out from now, if I had to guess. Now, why would that matter? Well, you might want cash in some circumstances, in some jurisdictions for gold. You might want to cash out, number one. Number two, you might want to turn the gold into a tokenized version or a cyber version of the gold. You might want to be, okay, I have Goldbacks at home, but I need to buy something on Amazon. And I can see Amazon accepting gold payments like, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, just like Bitcoin, right alongside Bitcoin. Or online merchants, period. Maybe not just, I'm speaking Amazon as like an online merchant kind of example, but, you can spend Bitcoin on hundreds of thousands of merchants globally. But digital gold is in its infancy. It's at, I think, Pax Gold and Kinesis and all the tokenized gold, the Tether gold all together, the market cap is like $1 billion. It's like nothing.
It's tiny.
It's 2013 Bitcoin is what it is. So in about 5-10 years, the market cap of tokenized gold is going to be $1 trillion. So when that happens, what you're going to want is you're going to want physical redemption locally. You're not going to want to travel to Switzerland or London to redeem gold bars. That's not practical. And you can have every tokenized gold asset, even if it's physically backed in a vault by gold bars. You can have it. I can right now, if I wanted to, I could turn on physical redemptions at the GoldATMs into Goldbacks. Like, there's nothing stopping me from allowing you to cash. Like, I could buy your Pax Gold, I could buy your Tether Gold, and I can physically redeem that for Goldbacks right now, which is probably more practical for the average retail buyer. And then if you want, you can put the gold in the future back into a two-way ATM. convert it to cyber gold, cash it out to cash, or you can maybe even cash it out to Bitcoin, whatever you wanted. And the more important thing is that you can now, the gold is, when it's tokenized, it's saleable through cyberspace, and you could send gold to, Brazil. You could send gold to Argentina. And you're going to have these really awesome utility applications created because, a two-way exchange exists.
Yeah, and I guess I'm embarrassed that I asked that question that way, because I'm big that gold and silver are money and you should be able to spend them. And so being able to turn your cash dollars into gold, then later on deposit them, get dollars back to make a sale that somebody doesn't support gold, preferably they would support gold. That's a total valid thing to want. I mean, so
it's something
yeah,
that all the gold guys it's funny. Same thing happened to Bitcoin. You want gold to be money. Everybody talks about gold is money, and then gold becomes money. And then you're like, whoa, I don't want to sell it. You're more of like a store of value kind of maxi. You end up becoming, and at the end of the day, this happened in Bitcoin. There were two camps of thought. Bitcoin is a store of value, and Bitcoin is a form of money that should be used for payments. And these two schools of thoughts kind of went at it, and they could not coexist for one reason or another. And Bitcoin had to fork. And you're going to see some of the same fighting happen between people who love gold, to where you're going to have people that actually want to use gold, and you have people that just want to hold it. And there'll be these weird tribal kind of camps of thought in gold as well, as gold becomes more of an actual money and monetized.
Yeah, we have seen exactly that. In fact, I bought a grill with silver, and a very prominent guy said, "You're a moron." I was like, no, but here's the thing is, once you have a money that you believe in, you can start putting all your money into that system. You can have all your money as gold, as long if it's easy to spend and you can spend it anywhere via debit cards tied to an asset-backed currency, or Goldbacks via passing legal tender species laws, then you're not holding any dollars. So Gresham's law no longer applies, because all your money is in gold and silver. So you're going to spend what you have to do it. So yeah, I'm a big believer of that. I wanted to back up to something you talked about when you were talking about how exciting Goldbacks is, because, and I'll paraphrase what I think you were saying, which is because, in the old days we had dollar bills, or even before that, before the Federal Reserve, you had a bank certificate or a bank receipt that was an IOU. You deposit your gold, you get it, and then you could trade that piece of paper. Whereas this is the gold itself. And that's a huge fundamental difference, because you no longer have to trust who's backing that paper.
Absolutely.
I would say the other so it's interesting, because a lot of these guys like Goldbacks, Kinesis, Load, they've all spent time thinking, and myself spent time thinking about, okay, the dollar standard failed before. Why did it fail? Well, the abstraction of paper, the creation of the Federal Reserve, the abstracting gold into paper, the creation of the Federal Reserve, and then the FDR getting rid of the redemption clause, essentially. You could no longer call, because that's what redemption clause is it's a way to call BS on whoever's holding the gold. Is you go, hey, I don't think it's fully reserved, you're fractional reserving it, or I don't trust your books. Okay, you withdraw it. But they've removed that option, and the day they did that, the standard was doomed to fail. So now we have cash that is the payment, is the gold itself, and then we also have blockchain on the other side, where the blockchain is immutable. It can be open source. You can audit the circulation numbers. You do a physical audit, make sure it matches 1-to-1, and you no longer need to trust. Well, it's not that you don't need to trust. It's you have the proof that they have the backing, and if they ever don't have the proof, then you redeem it and get your money out of the system. So I think those are the two. I really think on the cash side, a product like Goldbacks, and on the digital side, asset-backed digital blockchain, more specifically, thanks to Bitcoin. And that's what's exciting to see Bitcoin people starting to understand, hey, this technology can be used in a time-tested form of money. I think those two developments are truly exciting, truly revolutionary, like you said. And, it's what we need to get a gold standard that works.
Yeah, it's about having, it's about having options, and I think that, everybody has a different journey. We're entering a new renaissance of money. This is a golden era, an amazing time to be alive. Where now, yeah, when like we're at the beginning of monetary renaissance all over again, similar to the early Florentine kind of banking dynasties in the early 1400s with the kind of more more or less the manifestation of gold into the florin, and how that transformed Europe and created the arts and mathematics. And really, the Renaissance in those early days was created because of a monetary standard that people could rely upon to just basically allow all of Europe to trade with each other and conduct commerce. That's why the Renaissance really happened, was because of the money changed. It wasn't like that just manifested out of nowhere. And you had Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and all these mathematicians, and just an amazing time of human flourishment. It was because money was not controlled by government. It was essentially it was gold. And what the Florentine bankers did was they made it reliable by putting a certain amount of gold that did not change for 400 years. And that allowed everybody to rely upon that standard in order to allow commerce to flourish throughout Europe. Now, I think we're going through the same thing, but now it's more about, okay, you can now transact with choices outside of government issued currency, fiat currency, in cyberspace, and also in the meat space or in the physical realm. And, on my perspective now, I've been on a very long journey myself, and some of these journeys are going to be multi-decade journeys for some people. And some are going to learn the hard way. Some are going to just, get lucky and, or at least have enough intuition to strike it right the first time. But the reality is that whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be fiat currency, whether it be gold, they're all going to compete in a century-long plus, maybe a multi-century battle. And the market's going to decide what the best money is. But the only way that it can truly happen is if they can compete both in the cyberspace and in the physical realm, and together. And ultimately, the market and the next 5-6 billion people are going to come online, and they're going to be able to have access to gold, Bitcoin, whatever it is, dollars. And I think that the physical component of gold is, in this format, in kind of like a cash-like format, this is just, I'll be honest with you, I've only felt like this one other time when I found out about Bitcoin, and now with real-world assets becoming tokenized, and you pair that with distribution like with ATMs, it's just very beautiful. It's honestly, I'm kind of speechless. I don't know what else to say about other than that. Like, I'm very excited and optimistic about the future. When some people feel so in despair and dark about the future, I just feel so optimistic. So
that's fantastic. You think like me. We think a lot alike. I 100% agree with everything you're saying. And that's actually, I talked about Goldbacks and then blockchain as being kind of two big technologies that are going to make a gold standard work. But you highlighted the third that I should have, which is, this can be done in the free market versus the government. No central bank involved. I think that's absolutely vital. I mean, it doesn't preclude public-private partnerships like we're doing, pushing for at the state level, but to have, something outside of government be the monetary standard is I think important, because they always mess things up. But I agree with your optimism. I think you're right. I think, people are like doom and gloom. Gold's going to hit 5,000 and it's going to be an awful world. No, like gold, it's hitting 5,000 means it's regained its monetary role, and regaining the monetary role, like we've seen throughout history, is a good thing for people. The lack of gold standard has eroded the middle class, and we'll see the resurgence in the middle class once we start doing this.
I mean, if I'm a true believer in gold now. I would, like I said, I was neutral before, but Goldbacks allowed me to put within at least my reptilian brain framework how to interpret gold in a way that was familiar to me. And our slogan at GoldATM is the future feels familiar. And the goal is to make what has been an ancient, money and been around forever, time tested, saleable through time, but take that and make that new again, but familiar, most importantly, to the average person. If you go right now and you ask, maybe somebody who's maybe outside your circle of kind of, let's call it our echo chambers, and you go, hey, where do you buy $20 of gold right now? It's a very difficult question to answer properly. And we just saw Costco can't keep gold bars in stock. Like, people are buying gold bars, and they have to limit you to 2 per person, 2 gold bars. And they can't even keep them in stock. Like, they sold $100 million of gold last quarter alone. And they're not like interchangeable, really. They're like, this is just a gold bar. You're gonna take you're put in your safe, and you're just, you're kind of like, in case shit hits the fan. But really, if shit hits the fan, okay, honestly, like, if shit really hits the fan, you have to liquidate that gold. Now, a lot of people need to liquidate that gold potentially. And, if you have somebody you can liquidate to and get dollars from, good for you. But if shit really hits the fan, but if the average person who might want to trade with you may not be able to authenticate a gold bar. But a gold back or Goldbacks are a lot more palatable and familiar to somebody who is not maybe an expert on, authenticating, understanding gold bars, gold coins, which mint it came from, whatever it is. Like, I don't even have a lot of knowledge with respect to that, but this, you put it in my hand and it takes me just a few seconds to a few minutes to understand it quickly. And I think that that to me was like, okay, boom, we can go and we can sell gold to like somebody with like a 60 IQ, like all the midwits. Like, let's go. This is what we've been. I mean, in my opinion, this is what it's about. It's about, like, in fact, I've even had some hate mail, since we launched the GoldATMs. You're always going to get some kind of like criticisms or whatever. But like, what I tell some people is that I'm not here to just sell like gold backs to the same, UMA who's been buying them or whatever. Although I genuinely love those communities and they've been so supportive in our vision. Like this is about expanding the market. This is about getting gold into everyone's hands. And that is going to, if you're a store value guy, this is going to make your investment worth a lot more. If you're a money guy, that gold is money guy, this is going to get closed loop economies forming and people accepting them. And so it's about expanding the market, and distribution is like where we come in. And that's what I'm concerned with, is like, we have to get distribution, like, for the quote unquote, the normies. And that's our mission, is to make gold easy, make the future familiar.
So, in terms of future plans, are you guys planning to add support for, say, if you have a digital account of some sort, maybe it's with UPMA or Load or Kinesis, to be able to withdraw from that account into physical form?
In the future that, like, I'm envisioning, the future is you have a bank account if you want one, like you can hold your own gold, whatever, but not everybody feels comfortable holding their own money. For those watching this, like, we see this in Bitcoin. The whole early days of Bitcoin. Oh, you never, don't give your Bitcoin over to banks, not your keys, not your coins, whatever. But the banks are here. Like, we have a gold ETF now, and BlackRock's here, and Fidelity's here, and they're all. I mean, they're coming to hold your Bitcoin, and frankly, a lot of people want that. But ultimately, what I envision is that there's gold depositories. You can put your gold in them. You can see them on your online bank account, or your gold bank account. You can withdraw them. You can spend them on a debit card or credit card. You can, do Apple Pay with gold. Gold is your entire life money, if that's what you want to choose to put your value, your faith in. and it should be, spendable like cash. It should be spendable online. It should be like in a bank account. And 10 years from now, I can see that completely happening, especially with the push of specie legal tender laws. So
yeah, well, we'd love to work with you on adding that kind of a capability. We've got good relationship with Load and Kinesis. We're starting to work with Glint. So yeah, we'd love to work with you on that. And
let's talk. Let's talk and see what ideas you have, and I'd love to maybe conceptualize them, put them kind of into a product format, and maybe hit them in the roadmap.
Okay, great. And so is this kind of a franchise model? Like if we wanted to get some machines and put them somewhere, could we do that?
We're looking at multiple distribution models right now. I'm gonna say that we're probably looking at installing the first, let's say, 20 to 50 machines ourselves. Which again, we're not like an operator per se. That's not like necessarily what our forte is. But we are doing that to really test the market, work out the bugs, and get the unit economics right. Understand the market, kind of get some hype going. Let the market know, and then. The goal is to find a distribution methods that make sense. And that could be kind of like a private label thing like we've done in the past with Bitcoin ATMs, which is like, here's brand, we can handle your customer service and we can distribute the ATM to you. You operate it, you put it where you want to put it, and you load it and you take care of the local things. We'll take care of like kind of the annoying things on, and license the software to you. The other thing could be a white label where maybe you feel like you are in a certain jurisdiction where you can create a brand. Like that's why we call it GoldATM, because it's almost like a name of what it is in a way too. So it's kind of generic, but it's also kind of like a brand. So yeah, at the end of the day, if you want to make your own brand, do your own thing, like handle full control, we might have a white label option in the future as well. We're still figuring that out. If anybody hates us the most right now, it's funny. All the people that we sell the gold to, they're genuinely very happy. The people that are actually mad, most of the people that are mad are the ones that are like, when are you going to sell me a GoldATM? Which is a good thing, by the way. It's just that before we distribute them, we just, I'm not kind of one of those like put an idea out and, don't test it and, do a Kickstarter and then like, fund the company with a bunch of money and then we don't deliver. Like, I'm not that type of guy.
Yeah, you got one chance to make a good first impression, and this is too important to mess up. Totally agree.
This is way too important to mess up, and I think that Goldback and Valorum have put a lot of trust in us to make sure that like we were the right party to work with, and I don't want to let anybody down, and this is such an important thing that I think that this could change the world for gold as money. So we want to get it right.
Agreed. Yeah, that's why I was so excited when I saw this and said we got to talk to this guy. So. We're going to start wrapping up. If there's anything else you want to talk about before we got off, and how people can get in touch with you, or maybe at this stage you're getting slammed with requests, so maybe you don't want that. But where can
yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. I'll try to end with, we have a huge like Bitcoin business too, a Bitcoin ATM business that is been still growing, doing very well. This was like a side hobby. Like, let's just try to get a concept out the door. We spent a considerable amount of money for what you would call a side hobby to make it happen, but it's here. We're encouraged by the activity that we are seeing in Utah, which is a relatively small market, all things considered. And so we're excited to see how some other markets kind of test and create distribution models. If you are interested in running a GoldATM, please check us out on our website, goldatm.com. We're updating the website. We're going to make the software better. We're going to make the experience even better than where it is right now. And I would tell you it's pretty damn good. But, we are believers in this mission of turning gold into money. The same kind of mission I think that Goldback has, that Valorum has. And we want to make sure that we get the distribution right. If you want to support us, the best thing you can do is just spread the awareness, go on our social media, like us, follow us, share our videos with your friends. It's about getting the word out, honestly, at this point in time. I couldn't really ask for much more than that. So, yeah.
No, that's fantastic. We'll have all your socials kind of in the show notes for people. So check that out. And really appreciate you coming on here for kind of a pre-public release interview. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much for having me, Jim. I appreciate it.